Well, welcome to our first Senate meeting back in person. Tonight for our special program, we have Susan Brock-Williams, Ann Hazlitt, and John Bow, who are going to be talking a little bit about some legislation that's happening at the State House. Are you all on and can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Nathan, we still can't see them in here.
Video is on.
I'm on. I don't think Ann can unmute herself.
We can see you now. We can see you now. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming tonight. I'll let you introduce yourselves.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Ann Hazlitt, and I am the Senior Director for Government Relations and Public Affairs. It's great to be here.
And I'm Susan Brock-Williams. I'm Director of Government Relations.
And I'm John Baugh, Director of Agricultural Services and Regulations for the College of Agriculture.
Okay, great. Well, we're so excited to have you and hear a little bit about what you're working on and what you're lobbying for down at Purdue, and then how, as students, maybe we can be involved or come alongside the work that you're doing.
Excellent. Well, this is Ann, and I will kick us off and then hand it off to Susan and then on to John. I'm going to share a little bit about the environment that we are working in the session, and then two of our biggest priorities, which are the budget and then some issues related to the COVID-19 pandemic. Just talking a bit about the session, we started on January 4th, and the session will run through April 29th. This is a budget session, and so the legislators are working on among other things, the funding for Purdue and other institutions of higher education for fiscal years 22 and 23. Just about the environment that we're working in, I think like your experience as a student, nothing really is normal at the legislature this session. The House is meeting once a week for now. They're meeting on Thursdays, and they are meeting because they are a 100-member body, and it's much harder to social distance with that many folks. They have a makeshift chamber that's been created in the Government Center South building. If any of you have ever been in that facility, not a place that you would expect to see legislative activity happening, but the leaders have really done yeoman's work to create an environment where people can be socially distanced and get their work done. The Senate, being only 50 members, they're able to keep meeting in their regular chambers, and they're meeting on a more regular basis. Right now, it seems to be Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, with Wednesdays really being left to committee work. Speaking of committees, the hearings are being conducted largely virtually right now. Even if you are there in person to testify, you're testifying in a different room, and the presenters are being zoomed into where the members are actually meeting, and they are socially distanced as well. In addition to that dynamic, I guess, with the hearing, the way of communicating with members has been very different this session as well. We are having some in-person meetings, but given the fact that there's not a lot of places that you can meet and be socially distanced, even if folks do want to meet in person, I think we're both finding that a lot of members are still wanting to meet on Zoom or just doing phone calls and texts. You don't see gatherings happening. For any of you that have come down for the Purdue Day and been part of any larger receptions or breakfasts, the type of things that people often use to keep building relationships and working on issues, those just aren't happening right now. So it's a very different way of communicating. I guess one final point about the environment, there were bill filing limits that were set this session, but we still saw around 600 bills that were filed in the House and just over 400 in the Senate. So that's about 200 bills less, I guess, in the House and 100 bills less in the Senate than the last budget session that we had in 2019. But our team is still tracking over 200 bills that impact the university. So still a pretty big lift to be keeping up with all of the activity that's happening that could impact us. So with that, let me say just a few words about budget and some COVID issues, and then I'll turn this over to Susan and John, my teammates, to talk about some of the issues that they are monitoring. On the budget front, as I mentioned, the big job of the legislature this session is really to figure out expenditures for state agencies, different programs that get funded through state dollars, and then relevant to us is really the funding that comes to institutions of higher education. And that whole process begins with back in the fall, President Daniels presented Purdue's request to the Commission for Higher Education in October. And then he presented our budget request to the State Budget Committee in November. And then now things move to the Ways and Means Committee, and then it will go to the Senate and then a conference. So right now we are in that Ways and Means process, which is the committee in the House that writes the budget. And typically the university presidents would go and present in person to the committee what our requests are. This year, the committee is really for safety meeting with much fewer agencies to hear their requests in person. And so we were asked to relay the needs of Purdue in a different way. And so we're doing that through a variety of means. I've been meeting along with John one-on-one with many of the members of that committee. President Daniels has written a letter, and we've created a pretty extensive packet of information that will convey the needs that we have this budget. We'll also do individual phone calls as needed to convey our request. So our request really has three parts to it. First is for the operating funding. We are really focused on trying to restore the 7% cut that was made to all state agencies, including the public universities this past fiscal year. In addition to the operating dollars, another piece of our request is so-called capital projects. And these would be buildings and significant infrastructure improvements that we would want to see on campus. For Purdue West Lafayette, and really for the entire university, our top priority in capital this year is a new facility, a new education building for the nursing and pharmacy programs. These are two programs that are not only growing rapidly, but they have outdated buildings. And they are also two areas in the state that are there are great workforce needs, especially with the COVID pandemic. In the nursing area, we're hearing anecdotally about a lot of nurses who the pandemic, maybe were thinking about retiring, and the pandemic has been very stressful. And so they anticipate a lot of turnover, in our nursing workforce across the state. And so if we were going to have a building with this type of focus, this is really a good year to have that. Having said that, capital is pretty much a question mark during this time because of our fiscal conditions, with having so many needs with the COVID pandemic and less revenue coming into the state, because we have less economic activity with the pandemic. So we don't know if the legislature will have the appetite to do capital this year, but we have been full speed ahead in advocating for this project and making sure people are aware of it. Dean Underwood of the College of Health and Human Sciences and Dean Barker with the Pharmacy College, we've been doing all kinds of calls with legislators so that they're aware of this initiative that we want to push forward when the money is there. In addition to the nursing and pharmacy building, we also have two small infrastructure projects that we are pushing for Purdue Northwest and Purdue Fort Wayne. Those are much smaller in size, and so we don't really know how all of this will play out. The last piece of our budget request then is our line item. our line items. And we have a number of existing line items that we advocate for each year. John can talk a little bit about those because several of them are related specifically to the College of Agriculture. We also have a manufacturing line item. We have a line item for Purdue Polytechnic. And then this year we have a specific request for Purdue Fort Wayne. Back in 2018, when they split from IU, we held back on accepting some additional funding to build out the academic programming that was needed up there. What we did was to really step back and work with business and industry leaders, figure out what does that regional economy need the most in terms of workforce. And we have 3 strategic areas that won't surprise you if anyone's from Northeast Indiana. We want to build some academic program around biomaterials and bioengineering because of the orthopedic sector up there. We also have a real push for insurance programming as well as financial institutions. And that's because of the type of companies that are located in that corner of the state. So we need some money to hire the faculty for those programs. And that's a big piece of our line item focus this year. You know, we have a great story to tell as we're laying out our budget request. We have, record enrollment on the Purdue West Lafayette campus. We also, legislators are very interested in the fact that President Daniels and the Board of Trustees have frozen tuition for the past 10 years. And that's something that many institutions can't say and would like to be able to do themselves. It is not clear, though, how this will all play out. And so we are competing with many other needs outside of higher education. K-12 is often a big source of funds. The Medicaid program is also of great concern for funding. And then the Unemployment Trust Fund, which is the body or the program that when somebody files for unemployment, those dollars come from. And given what happened last year in our state with COVID, the unemployment trust, the funds there are low, and that will be something that legislators will need to deal with. But again, we are very proud of the story that we have at Purdue with enrollment as well as keeping tuition frozen and just working with what we have through these difficult times. So with that, let me touch briefly on COVID, and I will hand this then to Susan. We, of course, there are many issues that the pandemic has brought up. Everything from, what is the power of a governor to put controls on, the operations for businesses and communities. If your county goes above a certain level, today there was a hearing in Ways and Means Committee trying to create a grant fund to help many of the tourism businesses in our state, hospitality, that have been really hard hit as people aren't traveling. But within that, broad COVID portfolio of issues, a very important issue for us, I want to touch on briefly tonight, is looking at the liability of businesses, healthcare, schools, other organizations that somebody might come in contact with. And the concern that, say I go to eat at your restaurant and then I come home and I find out the next day I have COVID. Are you going to come back on that restaurant or on that business and try to tie, my infection to, the conditions in your in your business? This impacts us really not just as a place of learning, but when you think about the Purdue organization and all of the things that go on our campuses, or our entities that go out into the state. We have an airport, we run a daycare center, we have athletics, we have our own fire and police services. All of this is then potential exposure under the COVID liability issue. So this is something that I think got a lot of discussion and was brewing over the summer when we came in the fall. And as we came into the legislative season in January, there were bills ready to go in both the House and the Senate. So it's a very high priority in both chambers. But, as the debate has moved forward, you start to see people might agree with liability protection in concept. But when you get into the details, there are debates over, the breadth of the immunity. We don't want to protect people that have been bad actors, for example, in a nursing home or a hospital setting. and then the types of claims that can be brought, whether it's tort liability or contractual liability. So all of this is really playing out over the next couple of weeks, and we're working very closely with our other public institutions like IU and Ball State to make sure that the universities are included in any type of liability protection package that moves forward. So with that, I will turn this over to Susan.
Thank you, Anne. That was very thorough. We appreciate that. Thanks for having us tonight. My name again is Susan Brock-Williams, Director of Government Relations, and this is my 19th session, I think, with Purdue. And as a student undergrad at Purdue, I was in Purdue student government. And so I just want to say thank you for serving in this capacity. I know it takes a lot of time and effort, maybe sometimes away from your coursework and studies, and it's so important that we have that student voice. So thanks for serving. So I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about some of the other bills that are brewing, I should say, in the State House beyond just the budget and the COVID liability, which are our top two concerns this session, as Ann mentioned. One that I thought you might find interesting is a bill, House Bill 1072, that deals with personal delivery vehicles. And I know most of you have used the delivery robots on our campus. And Purdue's kind of seen as an expert in this area now. And so we were asked to come testify in committee because there's a bill that would make it easier for these companies to do business in Indiana. And they want to kind of set Indiana out as a leader in this in the country and attract some of those kinds of businesses to our state. So it was quite interesting to have one of our experts in this field come to the State House this session and answer questions of the legislators about this issue. So you'll probably see maybe more personal delivery vehicle robots around Indiana, maybe sometime soon. I know Amazon and others, FedEx, UPS are interested in that bill. Another bill that we've been working on this session that you probably would want to know about is a student hunger and homelessness bill. And I think we might have talked about this last year when John and I were before you in person. Unfortunately, we can't be there in person this year, but this is a bill that sets up a study committee to look at the issue of student hunger and homelessness. So it's been offered before. It's by Representative Earl Harris from Northwest Indiana, East Chicago. He's trying to get it passed, maybe just to bring together the right people to study this issue and see how much of a problem it is on our campuses. We know it exists. We have food banks that serve our students on many of our campuses. So he's just trying to get a handle on that. And if anyone's interested in that bill, let me know and I can connect you. Another bill that would be interesting for the student body population, I think this year, is a bill we've seen in the past. I don't think it was offered last year, but it's House Bill 1370, and it deals with free speech on college campuses. So it sets up quite a structure and puts it in place and sets pretty strong parameters around First Amendment and free speech rights, which at Purdue, of course, we value very highly. And we've done many things in our campuses, on our campuses across the state to address this issue. And so we believe we see ourselves as a leader in this in the country. We adopted the Chicago Principles, one of the first universities to do so several years ago, that talk about our value of free speech on our campuses. So we support the concept in this bill and want to work with the author to try to make it the best it can be as it moves through the process. Another bill this session, we've talked about it many times with you, is back again this year. It's House Bill 1375. And it's a bill that basically says that Purdue can have no policy that prohibits the use of guns on our campuses. So we oppose this. Our chief of police has been engaged with his organization that he serves with, representing all the police chiefs and law enforcement agencies on all of our campuses, both public and private across the state. And so we hope that this bill does not get a hearing this session, but we're watching that one closely as well. Another bill I've talked about, this is, I think, the third year for this bill. It's the hazing bill, anti-hazing bill, House Bill 1511 by Representative Terry Austin from Anderson. And she's offering that bill again this session. It's been assigned to the House Education Committee. We've worked with her on this issue in the past, and It has not yet been set for a hearing, so we don't know if it will be moving this session, but that's another one that we're watching very closely that you might be interested in. Another bill this session that was actually just heard today in committee in the Senate is Senate Bill 54, and it's a bill dealing with the FAFSA form. In high school, as you may all recall, some of you who've completed the FAFSA and received financial aid from that, this bill would say that all students in high school senior year would have to complete the FAFSA form, or if they can't complete it, sign a waiver stating such and the reason, because the state is interested in having more people filling out this form so that more federal dollars, state dollars can go towards students for post-high school studies, whether it be college or our workforce ready grants that are available at the state level. So it has some controversy behind it. Some really feel strongly about this bill passing this session. It's passed one chamber, both chambers actually in different years. So it's never become a law passing both in the same year, but some of the school systems find it too burdensome and have testified in opposition. So we'll see where that bill goes. It was heard today, but not voted on. I assume it will pass again the Senate and then go on to the House, and we'll see what happens with that bill as well. So those are some of the bills, at least on our priority list, that would, I think you would find of interest, and we'd be happy to answer any questions on those after John talks a little bit about the College of Ag issues that he's been working on.
Well, thank you, Susan, and thank you all for the invitation. I really enjoy this. I've lobbied for Purdue a little bit longer than Susan. I believe this is my 26th year, heading into 27, I guess. And before that, I worked for Indiana Farm Bureau. Didn't lobby all the time for them, but I think this is getting up to about 33 years that I've worked in the legislature, maybe more. I lose track in counting. So a couple of bills that I've been working on that's of interest to Purdue. First of all, let me lay a little groundwork. College of Agriculture has regulatory responsibilities for the state of Indiana in certain areas. So we actually regulate feed, seed, fertilizer, and pesticides and hemp under the state chemist office. We also have the egg board that regulates the sale of shell eggs in the state of Indiana. And we have the creamery licensing board that regulates the sale of milk as far as from the farm to the processor in Indiana. So this last year we had legislation to work on the civil penalties for pesticide applicators. And that got to be a little controversial last year. So Bill, what ended up passing was a charge of the Pesticide Review Board to put together a working group and come back with legislation. They did that. We did it with Zoom meetings, and actually worked out very well. Senator Lysing has that bill, as well as Representative Leahy. He has an identical bill. I'm happy to report that our bill passed the Senate, so it's through the Senate already, and with no amendments, no votes, and we're ready to move over to the House. That's another thing that's a little different this year from the past. In the past, there's always been a crossover date, so a date when bills from one house goes over to the other and they go through that work process. Now, whenever a bill is passed one house, it can automatically go over to the other house and be worked on. So it's possible that we could have, probably in 2 more weeks, we could have this whole bill completed for the session. So I'm hoping that's the case anyway. So it's one of those unique opportunities, you might say, because of the way that the legislature is operating this year. We also have for the Egg Board, we're giving them emergency rulemaking authority. There's a large livestock emergency bill that's been put together that basically, if you recall during this last year when some of the packing plants were shut down, the supply chains were clogged up. It was very difficult for farmers to move their livestock into processing plants. And so from a safety reason, they basically had to euthanize some of those animals, especially on the swine side. That didn't happen in Indiana, but it did happen in some other states. We were very close in Indiana at having to do that. And as they looked at the legislation, they needed to be more nimble and act quicker. And so this would give emergency rulemaking authority to the Board of Animal Health and the state veterinarian. We also had a similar kind of issue with eggs, with all the institutional restaurants and cafeterias and all of the food side of things shutting down. We had a glut of eggs that were not in cartons. We didn't have enough cartons, and the retailers needed cartons, and that's how eggs have to be sold. They're sold in to institutions in cases, 30 dozen cases. So we're trying to figure out if one of these plants, there's only 4 carton making plants in the United States, if one of them shut down, how were we going to, and they didn't have enough cartons, how we were going to let eggs be sold outside of cartons in grocery stores and things. And so we needed emergency rulemaking authority to do that. So we've amended that into this bill. Actually did that yesterday. It seems to be moving very well as well. A couple of other things. We have a grain indemnity fund here in the state. There's a lot of discussion over that piece of legislation. That's one some of you might have some interest in if you're involved in agriculture. This basically is like an insurance fund that farmers pay into. And then if an elevator, a buyer of grain goes bankrupt and can't pay you, then this fund will pay. If it's complete full storage, they'll pay 100%. If it's what we call DP, delayed payment, and they've already changed title, but they haven't received money, they get 80% at that point. So those are some of the issues that are going along in agriculture. Lots of others dealing with truck weights. There's some there. So those are kind of things. I'll stop. I think we ought to give you a chance to ask some questions. Be happy to answer any that you have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing what's been happening at the State House thus far this session. I'll open it up to any questions. So anyone on the Zoom, I won't be able to see you, so you can just unmute yourself and go for your question, but also in person. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, President Gilmore.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Ann, Susan, and John. Thank you so much for being here. It's always good to have you. I do remember the hunger and homelessness bill from last year. And so if it didn't pass last session or it wasn't even brought to the floor, do you know what has changed and how can we get involved, especially we work a lot with the ACE Campus Food Pantry and other organizations here on campus. And so I know that's something that our org is invested in. So is there anything that we can do, and would love to know how it's changed this time?
No, it's pretty much the same bill as last time, and it's now in the House Rules Committee. And a lot of times when a bill goes to the House Rules Committee, it never sees the light of day. So it's an interesting committee assignment. I think maybe if you want to get engaged in that one, the best thing would be to contact the bill author, Representative Harris. I can help you with that. And then he could advise kind of maybe how you could proceed from there based on what he's heard about the bill so far this session. But it's not looking good with it going to the House Rules Committee, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Senator Beatty.
Hi guys, I just want to say thank you for presenting tonight. It's also always great to hear what you guys have to say and what bills are being considered. I was just wondering what the smoothest transition or the best way we can help you out here on campus. I love hearing about all the bills you guys have going on, but I just don't know what would be the best way as students to contribute.
Susan, do you want to take that one broadly, and then I can pipe in on the project stuff I'm working on?
Okay, yes. So we would love student involvement. Unfortunately, we can't have the Purdue Day at the State House this year, as Ann said. There's just too many safety issues with that. So there could be other ways that, of course, Purdue's student government can have a voice. So I would suggest the first thing is to maybe set up a meeting with Ann, me, John, to talk about the strategy and the bills you might want to get engaged on. And then from there, we can advise you on the best ways, depending on what the issue is, what bill you're talking about. The biggest thing we would love to see students get involved with, though, is the budget. So basically, thanking legislators for their support of higher education and for Purdue University in general. The capital project that Ann will talk about, that's the biggest impact I think that students can have with legislators this session, since it's a budget year.
Yeah, this is Ann, just being specific here. I know, depending on your major, this might not tie or be a fit for you, but if there's any nursing or pharmacy or healthcare majors that would like to get involved, I think that student voice is so powerful, not only because you are the future workforce for the state in that area, but a lot of what we're trying to advocate for in that building is that the way buildings were built, in the past, you had rows of chairs, and as Dean Barker, the pharmacy dean, says, you're just throwing information at students in that type of setting, where now, especially in the clinical setting, like we see in healthcare, we want students to be able to work in groups and simulated environment for what that health clinic might look like. And even having pharmacy students learning side by side with nursing students, it won't be such a shift, a transition when you go to actually work in that hospital or work in that health clinic, because you were doing your training side by side with somebody who is, say, working in the pharmacy space. So I think that having that student voice about why something like this is needed is really important. I mean, it's important all the time, but I think right now with the pandemic, you're having to tell that story to legislators that, we have people on campus that are learning. We've had to put up the plexiglass and have everybody in masks, but we have students that want to be on campus. They've chosen to be on campus. You don't have everybody that has gone home and is choosing to learn online. And so the more we can share what that's like from a student perspective, I just think that's really powerful.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? Yes, President Gilmore.
John, I learned so much about just the world of agriculture in these few short minutes. I had no idea that those were even questions, but I am curious, 30 years within working with the Senate and doing work with legislation, I would love to know what keeps you motivated to stay in this space. And just, I know that there are a lot of people within student government that hope to one day do the work that you do, so I would love to hear any advice you have or just what keeps you in the game.
That's an interesting question, and the reason is because the legislative process is basically it has to be on the job training. You can study it. You can be a political science major and you can study all the process and everything, but until you're there and living through it and working through it, you really don't understand what goes on and all the dynamics at play. So I think that's what keeps me interested. I like to be a part of what's going on, or for lack of a better term, what's happening now, and keep up with that, build the relationships, get to know the people. And and try to, it's a way of serving too, serving the industry I love. I've grew up in agriculture, small farm, but grew up in that, and I have appreciated that. It's been good, and it's a way of, I think, for me to help and provide service as well. So it's a lot of fun. You build those relationships, make some good friends. You want to see them year after year, and it's all good. But those floors do get hard sometimes, standing around a lot.
I'm sure. Thank you so much.
Are there any last final questions? Yes, Senator Wyrick. Can you hear her?
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Again, hello, my name is Olivia Wyrick. I'm a senator for the College of Ag, so my question is specific to John. So do your guys' lobbying efforts also include extension education as well? Is that kind of grouped all in one kind of entity?
Well, that's one of the issues that is actually one of the line items, and I didn't hit on those, and I should have. So the biggest line items, the College of Ag has more line items than basically any other part of the university. So we have two major ones. One is Ag Research and Extension, or it's called Crossroads. And then the other one, and basically that is to, part of it, the money is used for our research farms, our Purdue Ag centers that are around the state. So we pay salaries out of that. And then it provides other opportunities for research. We have it's called Ag Seed Program, where faculty members each year apply for grants, and it's a competitive kind of thing. We end up funding about 17 grants a year out of that. The other big line item for Ag is the extension line item for county extension educators. And this county extension educators are paid by the county, and they're also paid by the state. So it's a combination of pay and the state's portion. And so that's in that line item as well. So those are the two. And yes, I do get involved in talking about those with legislators. I get asked a lot of questions. Interesting thing about being there, and Susan can tell you this, if you're Purdue, even though I basically represent the College of Agriculture, I'm there and I'm Purdue. Susan's there, she's Purdue. Ann's there, she's Purdue. And so we get asked a lot of questions that cross over. If it's something that Susan's working on, I'll just tell a legislator, this is something, we need to talk to Susan, or I'll let Susan know you need to talk to this legislator, and that sort of thing. So you're kind of all looped together or lumped together in the process. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it did. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Senator Reed.
Hello, my name is Alex Reed, and I was just curious if any of you guys were aware of any conversation between Purdue and the state government about a potential vaccine rollout or funding, or if there's even any information about how Purdue is collaborating with the state for this.
This is Ann. Yeah, there is a whole Protect Purdue committee that meets every day, and there are specific deans and other university leadership that's focused on that vaccine piece. I know that they are in very frequent conversation with Dr. Box, who is the state health commissioner, the governor's health folks, and there's it's really kind of all hands on deck. Secretary Jen Sullivan, that's head of FSSA, is part of that as well. And in addition to that communication, Susan and I both interact a lot with the Commission for Higher Education. And so sometimes if Dr. Box is wanting to get out information to the other universities about COVID-related information, they will work through the Commission for Higher Ed, who will then distribute all of that to us. So there's a lot of communication going back and forth in a number of levels.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay, we're gonna give you a round of applause here. I don't know if you can hear us or see us, but thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know I really appreciated hearing about some of the bills and how we can get involved. And if any senators have any questions or would like to be in contact, be happy to share that information and loop us together. But thank you all so much for the work that you do, and we hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Nathan, if you could help them leave the call, and then we'll go ahead and get started with our regular meeting. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we'll first start with the introduction of visitors. So I'm not sure if we have any visitors on the Zoom call. I don't think so. As well as if there are any proxies. Oh, sounds like there is a visitor. Sorry.
Sorry, it's Natalie with the Exponent.
Okay, perfect. Any proxies? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into roll call.
Senator Griffin Little.
Here.
Senator Wyrick.
Here.
Senator Ferguson.
Here.
Senator Hopfer.
Here.
Senator Bonnet.
Here.
Senator Hockenberry.
Here.
Senator McClary.
Present.
Senator Eingar.
Here.
Senator Dodonna.
Here.
Senator Chris? I was
Chris.
Chris,
Here.
every time. Okay, thank you. Senator Beatty.
Here.
Senator Pereira.
Yeah.
Senator Jha.
Here.
Senator Davis.
Here.
Senator Reed.
Here?
Senator Cabrera.
Here.
Senator Grisham.
Here.
Did I pronounce that right?
You did.
Awesome. Senator Light.
Here.
Senator McDaniel. Senator McDaniel, is she? Senator Stowe.
Here.
Senator de Guzman, I just talked to you. Which one was it again? De Guzman. Okay. Senator Reynolds.
Here.
Senator Lennon.
Here.
Senator Kopp.
Here.
Senator Chavon.
Here.
And Senator Shy.
Yes, here.
That was right? Awesome. Okay. Roll call has been taken.
Okay, perfect. We will now move into the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the Pledge of Purpose. And just as a point of clarification, we did vote to remove the Pledge of Allegiance from the call to order, but since our Constitution hasn't been officially ratified, that won't take effect until it is by SAO. So we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the Pledge of Purpose. I pledge allegiance to our purpose. We will now move into the approval of minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved as distributed. We will now move into executive reports. President Gilmore.
Hi, everyone. So good to see you for our first Senate session of the semester. Thank you to those of you that were at the retreat. Had so much fun, even though I only got to level 4 in the escape room. It's fine. Evan, we did great. Don't worry about it. But I do have a few announcements. Our initiative with Purdue graduate student government in terms of bringing an immigration attorney to campus, trying to assess need. We had our first session last night, and we had over 140 participants. And then when we're talking about consultations, we didn't know we had to start somewhere. 24 open spots. We had 176 people sign up. So in terms of assessing need, for those of you that know the history of our current Office of Legal Students that does not have an immigration attorney, those are in comparison, if not higher than the numbers that they use to make a case to bring Leslie to campus. And so we are really, really, really excited. We're trying to hopefully have at least double the number of open spots next month, if not more, and we'll work with this Committee for Strategic Planning and Assessment to put together a report so at the end of the semester we can tell and say this is a need, we've assessed it, we've gone through the hoops, let's bring up someone to campus. So that is really, really exciting, really good news. And I'm going to highlight the end of the semester report, the Communications Committee, our Senior Policy Advisor. It is so good. For those of you who were not at the retreat, I shared President Daniel's feedback, who said that it was the best report that he had seen in his 8 years. That is not taken lightly. That shows you that your work matters, which you know already. You are very important. But it's being recognized. We got so much good feedback. So please, please, please continue to share it. That question of, well, what does PSG do anyways? I don't want to hear it ever again. You know what I mean? So that's important. Other than that, Mental Health Action Week, March 1st to the 5th, our whole committee has been working extremely hard. I know Hannah will talk about that more, as well as Veronica and other members of the committee here. There was one more thing that I wanted to talk to you about. Purdue Student Government Week of Events. Yes, that is next week. And so hopefully you've been able to plan something within your committees. If not, please support others. We're going to have a So You Want to Be President event where we bring back the president who's coming, he was president in 1971. So we've got a lot of people to share their perspectives because we know everyone does it differently. So I really encourage you to go there. And then we're going to have prizes for people wearing their PSG polos on Wednesday. And it's really all about saying who you are in your classes, in your clubs, letting people know that we are a student resource. So I think that that's all I have, but you know me. I'll probably hop back in during announcements.
Okay, from my end, EPC met last week and we'll be meeting again this coming Tuesday to discuss the J-term proposal. So more on that coming soon. We're going to have a survey released on Monday to the entire student body, getting the perspective. So if you haven't heard of J-term, it'll explain what it is. Basically, it's a 3 to 4 week term that would happen in January in between the fall and the spring semester. So we want to gauge how students feel about it. Are they interested? What sorts of courses do they want to take? So that survey is going to be released next week, and it's currently in discussion in EPC, as well as next Wednesday during BOD. Vice Provost Wong Davis and Dean Underwood will be here to share specifically for BOD, but senators are also welcome to join to ask questions and to learn more about the initiative, as well as the grade updates legislation that we passed in the fall semester is currently in discussion in EPC. So we've created kind of a smaller task force that's going to look at how this would affect different colleges from across campus, but the goal is to get that passed, or at least 2 University Senate, by February. As well as the student trustee applications are due on Friday, so if you're planning to apply, you need to have those by Friday at 11:59 p.m. And then Elise is not able to be here right now because she is currently hosting an election call-out, as well as Daniel. So she just wanted me to remind you that there's still 2 more call-outs left, and to contact her if you have any questions or information. So if you're interested in running again and haven't been through that process before, I definitely recommend going to those.
Vince, before you go, that reminded me, University Senate happened on Monday. Per Alex's question, I think Ann answered it, but we have been cleared to be a vaccine site for Purdue faculty specifically, and then as it goes on, the rest of the community. But they talked a lot about that. I typically email out the University Senate report in minutes, so when that becomes available, I'll send it. Also, the same policies in terms of pass, no pass, withdrawal dates did pass in University Senate, so it'll be the same policy, not from the spring, but from the fall, that moves that date. So if you're trying to withdraw from a class, you've got more time. There's a bit of a discrepancy in terms of the pass, no pass policy that I think another piece of legislation is going to come out that right now the policy states that if you're taking a course as pass, no pass, if you want to take it again, you can't take it again for a grade, which tripped up a lot of students last semester. So the mode that you take it in has to be the same. So they're trying to work through that. I know a lot of professors were very adamant about it, so it almost didn't pass, but it did to move the timeline, and then they're going to come back with another piece. But those were two big things, as well as the possibility of an airport. And so I think I'm allowed to say it now because it was talked about in University Senate, but having our Purdue Airport be a hub so that you can get domestic flights here, which I think is so exciting, and I'm sad I'm about to leave, but I thought that those were important to share. So thank you for letting me cut in.
Is there any other executive reports from cabinet members? Yes, Pro Tem Griffin Little.
Senators, keep an eye out for an important email from me sometime this weekend. It'll talk about duties for the semester, as well as starting to meet with me and like the other members of your college just to make sure everything's on track, as well as a few other things. That's basically it for me. Yeah, just keep an eye out on that email. And please read it, please.
Alex gives great new words in the emails, so you should definitely read them. Any other executive reports?
Is it okay if I go?
Yeah, go ahead, Vince.
Okay. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm going to start with an update first, and then go with a little bit of a quick explanation of what's going to be proceeding going forward. Cabinet members, BOD members, you already know. I'm not sure if it's passed along into Senate, but effective just a few minutes before the meeting, I resigned as Chief of Staff for Purdue Student Government for the remainder of the year. This was a very, very difficult decision to make for me, and I want everybody to understand that. And I also want people to understand, first and foremost, that this is not me quitting on the organization. And this is not me resigning for a problem with any person in the organization or for resigning because of the mission path that this administration has taken. I have loved every single moment of being in student government, specifically this year. It's been a pleasure working with each and every one of you. But there are several large moving parts in my life right now that would take a lot of time and energy away from me and not allow me to be the most effective Chief of Staff this semester. And that's not fair to anybody, including the organization. So after talking with Asada over the break, we decided that it would be the best thing to do, and that moving forward, we would need to develop a plan. So as I'm sure you saw from the legislation agenda that was sent out, Shannon is going to be up for it. And then we have a couple new EDs as well. I guess just a little bit of a parting word is that I would vouch absolutely for Shannon, and I would vouch people's characters for all of the ED positions that are coming up right now. Saksham has been basically acting as ED for the last 2 or 3 months and has been doing a wonderful job. He finished the website in less than a month with the help of one other committee member. And it looks wonderful. If you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to look. And with that out of the way, there's so much time for more new initiatives where student government may be lacking. So please keep that in mind when voting for him. Nurm is wonderful. And not only, I would say that as well, I'm sure Asada will say something about him, but he's going to do a wonderful job as well if he's confirmed. But all of these people have the abilities and will give the time to do the job that they're going to be asked to do. So please just keep that in mind. But moving forward, I know starting today, hopefully, everything can just transition as smoothly as possible. That's my number one goal. And I'll be around here and there. You might see my face to help with a few things. But for the most part, the amount of time and with current life situations, it was just not going to be feasible to be able to stay in the same position for this semester. But if anybody has any questions or concerns, you're welcome to reach out to me any way you can find. I'm more than happy to talk about it, but I just wanted to leave it short to be able to save everybody's time and be respectful of that. But thank you.
Thank you, Vince. Any other executive reports? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into committee reports. Oh, this says informal discussion. We'll do committee reports first, and then we'll come back to that. Internal affairs.
Hello, everybody. We're done with Constitution stuff. Yay! And now we're going to move on to more Constitution stuff. Yay! So basically, from our wonderful pro temp Griffin Little, we're going to be looking at some different amendment policies and how to implement that more clearly in the Constitution. We also still need to figure out a meeting schedule. So if you have not filled out the when to meet thing, please do that ASAP because we needed it 3 days ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Reed. Financial affairs.
FA has been moving forward with the finishing of the PSG small grant guidelines. We had viewpoint neutrality training this week, which was a big hurdle, and started getting that out as soon as possible. The guidelines are in essence finalized, and right now we're just finishing up a few small details with looking at a time for rolling it out in the beginning of February. That's all from FA.
Awesome. Thank you, Senator Dodona. CSRA.
Got the survey results that I talked about all of last semester, so we want to start looking at that and figuring out our next steps and go from there.
Awesome. And last, UAA.
Hi, everybody. UAA doesn't have anything to report this time, but we're happy to be back, and we're meeting tomorrow night at 6.
Wonderful. We'll now move into informal discussion. Is there any informal discussion at this time? Yes, Senator Dodona.
So the SAFER Ad Hoc Committee has been really working hard on an event that's coming up on the 4th of February. It's actually during PSG Week of Events, the Consent Carnival. I would love as many people as possible to come. We're doing goodie bag handouts 2 days before from 5 to 6 in Croc. And the committee would really love people's support to come out and see what we've been working on for all the semester. And if that doesn't work for you, we are doing a run through this Friday to get some input from a lot of the PSG members. So if anyone's available to come and sort of listen to what we have to say and give some criticism, some friendly criticism on our content, that would also be fantastic.
Wonderful. That was the 4th from 5 to 6?
From 6 to 7:30.
6 to 7:30. Perfect. If you want to send that to Riley, we can put that in the next internal email as well so everyone in PSG can get it. Anybody else? Yes, Senator McCleary.
So just a few words for you all. I've told a few people this, but I recently accepted a position at my church focused on working on discipleship there, and I think that's going to take a lot of my time. So I feel like the best thing for me to do, especially seeing as we have 3 wonderful Senate Associate members for the College of Engineering, is to step down from my position as a senator. So this will be my second to last meeting. I'll be helping in the process of choosing the next senator to take over this position. So yeah, just wanted to explain that's the deal. I'm not just disappearing. Love the organization, but as I just start to shift toward this new position, I feel like that's the right thing to do, especially because I was able to, a couple years ago, start in PSG being appointed about this time. And that was a great opportunity to have just a couple months to get acquainted with the organization before starting my full term as a senator. So for those reasons, I'll be stepping down. Love you all. But I didn't want to just disappear. I know we've had a lot of cases in the past of people just kind of like disappearing from the organization without a word. So that's the deal. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Any other informal discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into old business. Do I hear any old business? All right, seeing none, we'll move into new business. Do I hear any new business? Yes, Senator Beatty.
I motion to bring up Bill 2054.
Okay, it's been properly motioned and seconded to bring up Bill 2054, appointment to the Executive Director of Governmental Relations. So we'll start with the authors of the bill and then move into some discussion with Matthew Binding. President Gilmore.
Yeah, so Matthew has been an asset to the organization since he first started. I know Camille was incredible, but she graduated early. And as soon as she told our committee, we found out Matthew was the first name that she recommended. And I echoed, and Vince has already said his piece, but I know that he's going to do an incredible job leading the organization. He's consistent, he's dedicated, constantly shows up. And I don't need, I could go on, but I don't need to because his work speaks for itself. So Matthew has my full support, and I'm excited to see him confirmed this evening.
Matthew, can you hear us? I believe you're on Zoom, if you want to speak a little bit.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you and see you.
Perfect. Do I need to...
Go right ahead.
Hi, everybody. My name is Matthew. This is my first year with PSG, but I've already learned a great deal. And like Asada said, I worked alongside Camille a lot, especially when we were transitioning from our old executive director at the beginning of the fall semester into the executive director position that Camille filled. And with everything I've learned alongside Camille, I definitely feel like I'm ready to take on the task of ED this semester. And we have a great group of students who are also first-time members, and we're looking forward to achieving a lot.
Thank you. Is there any discussion from the floor? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a vote on Bill 2054, appointment to Executive Director of Governmental Relations. Those in favor in person, if you could please raise your name placards, and those in favor online, if you could please give us the raise hand function on Zoom. Those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Okay, with a vote of 22-0-0, Bill 2054 passes. So Matthew, I don't know if you can hear us, but we'll clap for you.
Thank you so much.
So congratulations on being appointed, and you're excused from the meeting if you want to hop off. Or you're welcome to stay too. Do I hear any other new business? Yes, Senator Reed.
I'd like to make a motion to bring up Bill 2055.
Second.
It's been properly motioned and seconded to bring up Bill 2055, Appointment Executive Director of Technology. We'll begin with discussion from the author, and then we'll hear from Saksham.
Another incredible member that stepped up in the time of need, and per Vince, he knocked the website out of the park. He's also so gracious when I message him on Slack at inappropriate times or take several days to respond to his very small request, but he leads with kindness and a heart for service, and is overall just a great candidate for the spot, and he's passionate. Per what Vince was saying, when we finished all the things on the website that we all have been talking about, including for a long time, then started brainstorming, okay, so what can we do better? And what I love most about Saksham is if Hannah and I present an idea, or even if it's just me, and he thinks it's a bad idea, he tells me straight up. And I really appreciate that, and I need it, and he is the expert, like absolutely the expert in this field, and I trust him in terms of everything about the website. So I know he's gonna do a great job, and looking forward to see what happens.
And I have to show you all this because Saksham helped finish this project that I had been talking about and people in the past had been talking about for so long. So now if you go to the PSG website and you click on the legislative branch, you can hit the Senate meeting minutes and you can actually see all of our legislation in our minutes. So I know this is something that was started several years ago, a project, and just really thankful that Saksham and the rest of the tech team was able to see this through so other people have access to what you all have been working so hard on. Oh yeah, all of our emails are now on here so you can keep up to date. So if you don't get on the website a lot, you should get on it more and admire it because it's beautiful. All right, Saksham, are you on the call? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, I'm just grateful for the opportunity that I've got. And I think I have enough experience that I will be able to take on projects and lead them to finish.
We love that you're wearing the PSG polo also. All right, is there any other discussion from the floor? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a vote. Same procedure. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Okay, again with a vote of 22-0-0, Bill 2055 passes. Congratulations, Saksham.
Thank you so much.
And again, feel free to excuse yourself if you'd like to. Do I hear any other new business? Yes, Senator Davis.
Motion to bring up Bill 2056.
It's been properly motioned to bring up Bill 2056, appointment to Executive Director of Programming. So we'll start with discussion from the authors.
Nathan Roland Miller, or NERM. His friends get to call him NERM. No, I'm just kidding. I think he lets everyone call him NERM. You have to ask him. But is just so incredible. We met through the Student Advisory Board with Dr. McCuskey. Hannah knows him as well, and his work with the A's Campus Food Pantry. He's in the marching band. I want to say you're a Boy Scout, but if that's just wrong, let's just forget I said that, because I know that's serious. But he could be a Boy Scout by the way that he moves and his helpfulness, and I'm sure he can tie a mean knot. But all of this is to say is that is what programming is about. When we went through the survey and we got feedback, it was that we need more connections. We need more opportunities to work together. I want to know the people that I'm in this organization with, and that is what NERM brings to anything that he's a part of. I've had the honor and privilege of having conversations with him throughout last semester, and he there's just something about him that grounds you. You know that he cares about you when he's talking to you, and that is how we want every PSG person to feel. And so in this position, I knew what the committee was looking for when they needed someone else, and I just know he's going to knock it out of the park. And I'm also very excited about this Valentine's Day idea that he's already put forward even before his confirmation, which I know is a problem, but we can act like it didn't happen. Long story short, sorry I'm rambling, NERM, but you're amazing, and I'm so happy to have you a part of hopefully have you a part of the org.
Thank you. NERM, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
I don't think so. I think Asada covered everything that I was going to touch on. Obviously, I'm new here, so I don't have much experience in PSG, but I'm excited to get this going and just work on developing community. That's one of my biggest focuses in any organization that I'm in. So, yeah, that's all.
Awesome. Is there any discussion from the floor? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a vote on Bill 2056, appointment to Executive Director of Programming. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. All those on Zoom, please raise your hands. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, and any abstentions? Okay, with a unanimous vote, Bill 2056 passes. Congratulations.
Thank you all very much. I look forward to programming.
Again, feel free to head out if you need to. Do I hear any other new business? Yes, Senator Wyrick.
Motion to bring up Bill 2057.
Second.
It has been properly motioned and seconded to bring up Bill 2057, Cabinet Appointment for Press Secretary. Go ahead.
I'm back. I love appointment bills because I just get to talk about I really enjoy. So thank you. But Emily Johnson, where do I start? First of all, worked as a staff writer throughout the first semester. And then in the middle of the semester said, hey, I want to be more involved. I want to be more active. I know this is something I'm passionate about. I'm good at it. Put me in. And so we did. And so the relationship that she's cultivated with Shannon and the rest of the cabinet, I know it is going to be an easy transition. You all have seen the boiler updates. I feel like that's all I have to say, right? Like they look good. Emails look good. These ladies are on point. So I'm very excited that Emily was willing and able to step up in this capacity. Yeah.
Emily, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Hi, I'm so happy to be with you guys this evening. Again, my name is Emily and I'm studying political communication. So I feel like that really gives me a good lens into the role of press secretary and the importance of writing from a nonpartisan angle. I've also gotten to work with Shannon, who has been a wonderful press secretary, and she's been gracious enough to show me the ropes. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it if confirmed.
Or would someone yield time to Shannon? Yes, Senator B.
I yield 2 minutes to Shannon. Thank you. Yeah, so Emily, you were a part of me as a press secretary last semester. Every time I was in cabinet meetings, I felt like you were, what I said, you had a huge input on that, and you were just such a big role in that. And I'm so happy that we got to have a staff writer position this past semester, and I'm so happy to see you being nominated to be our press secretary for the spring 2021 semester. And she is more than qualified to do the job, as Asada said. And I'm really excited to see you filling a seat in, hopefully, to fill a seat in our cabinet meetings as well.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion from the floor? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a vote on Bill 2057, Cabinet Appointment to Press Secretary. All those in favor, please raise your name placards or your virtual hands. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Okay, with a vote of 22-0-0, Bill 2057 passes. All right, do I hear any other, oh wait, sorry Emily, congratulations. Do I hear any other new business? Yes, Senator Wyrick. Oh, sorry, Senator Reynolds.
Motion to bring up Bill 2058.
Okay, it's been properly motioned and seconded to bring up Bill 2058, Cabinet Appointment to Chief of Staff. So start with discussion from the author and then hear from the candidate.
Shannon, everything I'm about to say is not just because you're sitting right next to me and I don't have that Zoom buffer. No, but seriously, I could talk about Shannon just from my friend, a great friend, but I will stick to your work ethic, to all you put into government, and not just within your dinners. You all remember the dinner with that maybe don't fall within the press secretary, because she has a passion for students here. Councilwoman, like she's like technically, like I don't know. So we know that she's qualified. She is a people person. She is a powerhouse, extraordinary woman. And so you all know this. She's been in Purdue student government for a long time. So I won't go too in depth, but I'm so excited, and I know no one is going to fill your place, Vince. We will miss you dearly. But if there's anyone who could even attempt, I know that it's Shannon.
Shannon, is there anything you'd like to add?
Thank you, Asada. I wasn't going to pinch you or anything, just like stop it. Yeah, so like Asada said, I have been on Purdue student government for 3 years. I'm a junior. And I started off as a director, and it has such a special place in my heart. And I remember when I started, there were a lot of passion projects, and as chief of staff, I really want to continue that. I feel like I have a lot of passion in me, which is why I have which is why I want to be a public servant in the future, and that is why I'm practicing now. And as chief of staff, I feel that I will be able to strengthen my leadership skills by leading these amazing directors and executive directors, and helping them feel that passion and carry it out and really make actual change in our student bodies. And I just feel so lucky that I am staffed with so many amazing leaders, student leaders who are present on all corners of campus. So I'm really looking forward to it. I hope that I can lead by example, and I really hope that you feel that I am fit for this position. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion from the floor? Yes, Pro Temp Griffin Little.
Hi, I had a question for the candidate. I was curious about how you were approached for this position. Was it with Vince and you sort of working together to sort of
like fill the role? Has he like filled you in on things? And then also, what are things you would like to continue on that he's done? And then perhaps anything that you'd like to do differently?
Okay, so that was a multifaceted question. So if I don't answer something, just let me know. Yeah, so I was approached with this position because I believe that Vince's, his big moving parts happened, I can't quite remember, but it was before the semester started. I was actually in line to get a COVID test back in Georgia, and it was first Asada who approached me about it. And then after I decided, I didn't really have to think it through very much because Vince and I, we were friends, we're colleagues, I guess you would call this in this position. And I've seen him do really great things, and his leadership, I feel we're different in the way that we lead, but not different in a negative way at all. I don't think it's going to be a tough transition because, yes, he has briefed me on how he has run the BOD meeting so far, how he communicates with all of the executive directors, and it is a lot, but I feel that Asada attested to me being a people person. I love meeting with people. I have meetings almost every day with just all sorts of people, so I'm so happy, and I think that filling that my meeting times and my day with talking with executive directors and directors about Purdue student government is just going to just help me be a better leader and show up for the leaders that I am going to be showing the way to. Anything else that you would like me to cover?
You did great, thank you.
Any other discussion? Yes, Senator Bonnet.
I'm going to ask a fairly traditional question of this body. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream and why?
Okay, I feel like different brands are really delicious, right? Okay, so Ben and Jerry's, there's one called the Americone Dream. It is a late night show hostess flavor, so that one's really good. I know, what a telling question, right? Are you guys gonna judge me on this? I would say classic, drum roll please. I really like strawberry. Or like butter pecan, that's a little granny, but, or if I'm really adventurous, cotton candy.
Wow, okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move into a vote. So Shannon, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. If you just want to hide behind the little wall, that will be fine. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your name placards. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Okay, Shannon, you can come back. Okay, with a unanimous vote, Bill 2058 passes. Do I hear any other new business? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into announcements. Do I hear any announcements? Yes, Senator Bonnet.
This is just a friendly reminder that now is a really great time to reach out to your constituents. Reading days are super important this semester, and some professors get them, some don't. So literally just stand up in the middle of your class and make an obnoxious announcement about who you are and what reading days are supposed to be. Talk in your group meets, do what you need to do. It's a great way to meet your constituents, get them to know you and reach out to you later in the semester, but make sure you're getting those reading days.
Yes, Senator Wyrick.
Okay, I have a question about the reading days. So I did see, and I shared it on Instagram about, a resource where people could informally report or kind of raise a red flag about that.
Mm-hmm.
What constitutes ignoring a reading day? Is that having an exam?
I was just pulling that up. Or do you already have it up?
Well, so yeah, we got a message, and so as of right now, I don't think that there's anything that constitutes not having a reading day because unlike in the fall semester, It's not optional, and so things like labs or it's education, teaching majors, nursing majors, that was the exception. But because you had over a semester to prepare, I do not think that was the case. So Dr. Rickus did respond, but I will add that President Daniels, Provost Ackridge very explicitly said, let us know those courses. And so we've had about 5 or 6 people via email, and each time I forward it over to Provost Ackridge, and it gets handled. So per Sammy, yeah, let them know, because if someone is scheduling an exam on a reading day, or they're doing a loop-de-loop and having, instead of in-person class, you're doing a Zoom class. So let us know these things, because I do know that there are entities taking it more seriously. Hannah, if I misspoke at all, please let me know, but that's
yeah, I was going to read verbatim what Dr. Rickus said, so everyone knows. In contrast to fall 2020, the spring 2021 reading days are not optional, but rather a planned part of the academic calendar. These are not university holidays. Campus will remain open and students are expected to remain on campus. However, no classes, undergraduate, graduate, professional, residential, or fully online, will be in session. The intent is to give instructors and students a brief respite from instruction to permit them to focus on their preparation and overall well-being. Please incorporate these days into your class schedule as you would for any traditional break such as fall break or spring break. Avoid assigning extra work or meeting in an attempt to compensate. Consider canceling and limiting meetings with your staff as well to give them a break. So no class meetings, no exams, not really supposed to have assignments.
And if that would be helpful for us to like put on a graphic and quote Dr. Rickus so students can be like, oh, really? Anyways, I think that would be dope. You know I'm all for student voice. So if that's an idea or you guys want to have that email, I think that Hannah and I have no problem forwarding on just in case you need a little bit more voice.
Yes. Sorry, Senator Hopper, I forgot your last name for a second.
So just to clarify, a professor requiring 2 Monday lectures to make up for a Wednesday would be a violation of that?
I would say yeah. There's not supposed to be any assigned extra work because of the reading day.
This is just not appropriate, but I'm going to do it because I feel like we can trust one another, right? I think that it's so interesting. You're going to hear about this J term, right? And now all of a sudden, professors are so okay with shortening it from a 16-week semester to a 15-week semester. But when you're asking one all voted on, it's a big issue. Sorry. Okay, that was on my chest.
Thank you, Asada. Okay, I do have one announcement, so it's about MHA, so I want to touch on that a little bit further. So we're asking that each Senate committee host or plan some sort of event for MHA. This doesn't have to be anything elaborate or super time consuming, but maybe you want to do a tabling event where you hand out flowers, or maybe you want to make little care packages that you hand out, or you want to host a session about journaling or self-care, whatever it may be. So we're asking that each Senate committee plan some sort of small contribution to add to MHA. And so a few details on that. You're going to use the money from your Senate budget. So I think each committee right now has $250, and then we also have lots of extra money in the Senate discretionary as well as set aside for MHA. So if we need to go over that, there's plenty of money to go around, so don't be concerned about that aspect of it. As well as, so this event, there's a form that we're going to send out. We'll probably send out in the next internal email, but it's a Qualtrics form that you'll fill out, and you'll just give the information and the details about your event so that we can populate it in the event platform, which is going to be an app this year. And so that's all due by February 12th. So if you have questions, I'm sure Veronica, Asada, myself, Sammy, anyone else on the Mental Health Action Week Committee would be happy to answer those questions, but we really just love to see you and committee give a contribution to the week just to help engage with your constituents as well as promote well-being at the student body. Also, some of you haven't signed up for office hours, so I need you to do that as well, and I'm sure there'll be more reminders about that, but office hours is going to start next week. And I know there's a little bit of confusion, so we canceled them for this week, but there's going to be a short video about how that works so we can get all of you in the same room, so when you're on your office hours you can also see each other. But that's coming out, but really need you to sign up for office hours. That came out in a follow-up email, but I'm sure that there'll be another reminder about it as well. Yes, Senator Reynolds.
Hannah was just, can you guys hear me? Hannah was just talking about MHA, but I just want to say, if you guys are in any outside organizations beside PSG, I encourage you to talk to president or your committee in that organization if they would like to host an event during MHA, because we're trying to get as many student orgs as possible, but the deadline is February 12th. So maybe I can send the link in Slack or something like that, but please talk to your outside organizations about hosting an event.
Can you say the deadline one more time, Veronica?
February 12th.
Very hard deadline. Also, if another organization that you're in would like to host an event, we would like to pay for it. So we're giving up to $500. That's a lot of money to plan a pretty good event. So we'd like to give that out on what day do you have to submit it? That was really weak, guys. Oh, okay, February 12th. So that's all from me. Again, if you're applying for student trustee, submit your applications. All right, anybody else? Yes, Pro Tem Griffin Little.
Really quick, just committee chairs stay after for a second so we can plan our meeting time.
Yes, Senator Bonnet.
I promise this is the last mom-like message I will give, but if you are thinking about your semester and looking over it, this is a great time to start legislation. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. I would love to help you. Anybody here would love to help you. Like, this is a great time to start your change, make that change. One bill for the whole semester, write 5, do your thing. We brought you guys here for a reason. You got voted in for a reason, and we'd love to see what you come up with. Essays, I haven't written one yet, but I will, I promise.
Love it, love it. Anybody else? Okay, we're gonna have snaps, and I would just like to tell everyone that we got a lot of really good new snacks. So it would be really awesome if you would compliment and spread the love to your fellow colleagues. Does anyone have any snaps? Yes, President Gilmore.
I would like to snap Vince. I know you're not here, but if you would like us to drop off a snap, we will. You are incredible. Obviously very, very sad to see you leave for multiple reasons, but don't ever downplay things that you've done for this organization, the commitments that you've made. You are an incredible leader, and know that the entire Purdue student government family is here to support you through the next semester and even into the future. So thank you so much for your service. And we'll see you around. We know you're not going anywhere.
Anybody else? Yes, Senator Beatty.
I think I think Senator Pereira is on the call right now. This is her first meeting, so snaps to you.
Woo. Yes, Senator Wyrick.
I wanted to give a snap to my fellow College of Ag gals. Already on the ball, contacted our deans, ready to go. We have like a programming series for freshmen in the College of Ag that we're going to get started with this semester. We're super excited about. So thanks for being committed and being super awesome.
Yes, Ag girls.
I'm going to snap Veronica and Hannah for several reasons. Veronica has probably taken on more than she thought she would as a co-chair and just been so graceful and elegant. And also, I'm on a juice cleanse right now, and both of these ladies have been so supportive because I've been very cranky and hungry and angry. But they have loved me nonetheless and just helped me stay motivated and focused these last 3 days. So you both get a snap.
I'm gonna give a snap to Senator Beatty for hanging out with me on Monday in the office hours when I was like in the void by myself, and I was like, Molly, please come rescue me, and she did. And then we hung out in the grocery store for a minute and tried to find like green peppers together, and it was just a good moment. So happy to see you.
Yes, Senator Reynolds.
If you guys like literally say hi to me, I'll give you a snap apparently, but I just like giving snacks to my friends. So Sammy, she didn't give me free coffee, don't get mad at her, but she wrote have a great day on my cup, and I thought it was a very, very nice gesture, and I hope she has a great week.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Okay,
can hear
lovely.
you.
I would like to give snaps out to my fellow College of Liberal Arts senators. Here's to another great semester. And that's all. And I know Amanda's smirking at me right now, so this is entirely the reason why I'm doing this.
Okay, anybody else?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I would like to give snaps to Senator Beatty, please, because she's been so much of a help to me in the past like couple of months. She's just really been an inspiration. So this is for her. But yeah.
This is my last snap, I swear, but I would like to give snaps to Alex Reed and Brooke Hopfer, because they've been waiting on a text back from me for who knows how many days, and I'm very, very, very sorry about it, and I really appreciate both of you and your patience.
Asada, who is the other person you said? Okay, anybody else?
I would love to give a snap to Alex Griffin Little and Hannah Walter for putting together all these Senate meetings and working so hard to make sure that things go off without a hitch. You guys are incredible.
Yeah. He said Alex Griffin Little.
Did not hear him. Oh my gosh. I'll take a receipt. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Oh, we did that. Okay. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
For the second to last time, Madam President, I move we do now adjourn.
Okay, it's been properly motioned seconded to adjourn this meeting. We'll attempt to take this vote by voice acclamation. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.